Weapons of mass destruction thing turned out not to be true. I expected the American people to rise up. They didn't. Then, when the Abu Ghraib torture thing surfaced, and it was revealed that our government participated in rendition, a practice where we kidnap people and turn them over to regimes who specialize in torture, I was sure then the American people would be heard from. We stood mute. Then came the news that we jailed thousands of so-called terrorist suspects, locked them up without the right to a trial or even the right to confront their accusers. Certainly, we would never stand for that. We did. And now it's been discovered the executive branch has been conducting massive illegal domestic surveillance on its own citizens. You and me. And I at least consoled myself that finally, the American people will have had enough. Evidently, we haven't. In fact, if the people of this country have spoken the messages, we're okay with it all. Torture, warrantless search and seizures, illegal wiretappings, prison without a fair trial, or any trial, war on false pretenses. We as a citizenry are apparently not offended. There are no demonstrations on college campuses. In fact, there's no clear indication that young people even seem to notice. Well, Melissa Hughes noticed. Now, you might think, instead of withholding her taxes, she could have protested the old-fashioned way, made a placard and demonstrated at a presidential or vice presidential appearance. But we've lost the right to that as well. The Secret Service can now declare free speech zones to contain, control, and in effect, criminalize protest. Stop for a second and try to fathom that. At a presidential rally, parade, or appearance, if you have on a supportive t-shirt, you can be there. If you're wearing or carrying something in protest, you can be removed. This in the United States of America. This in the United States of America. Is Melissa Hughes the only one embarrassed? And what I'm most sick and tired of is how every time somebody disagrees with how the government is running things, he or she is labeled un-American.
Evidently, it's speech time.
And speech in this country is free, you hack. Free for me, free for you, free for Melissa Hughes to stand up to her government and say, stick it.
Objection.
I object to government abusing its power to squash the constitutional freedoms of its citizenry. And God forbid anybody challenge it. They're smeared as being a heretic. Melissa Hughes is an American. Melissa Hughes is an American. Melissa Hughes is an American. Last night, I went to bed with a book. Not as much fun as a 29-year-old, but the book contained a speech by Adlai Stevenson. The year was 1952. He said, "The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live, and fear breeds repression. Too often, sinister threats to the Bill of Rights, to freedom of the mind, are concealed under the patriotic cloak of anti-communism." Today, it's the cloak of anti-terrorism. Stevenson also remarked, it's far easier to fight for principles than to live up to them. A friend, Vivian, once told me, there are only two kinds of people in this world, Alan, them that drink Coke and them that drink Pepsi. Vivian got that notion, of course, from Coke and Pepsi. There may have been other colas, but Coke and Pepsi were the giants, billion-dollar behemoths, who in their own advertising would each refer to the other guy as the only alternative, just so long as people keep on gulping down one or the other. Makes you kind of wonder if they're in cahoots.
Mr. Shore, as much as I enjoy listening to you go on and on and on, could you get to your case?
When it comes to presidential elections, we again have only two billion-dollar giants in control. The American people might get to vote for commander-in-chief, but they only get two choices, Your Honor, choices selected by two very private organizations who are both in bed with big oil, big tobacco, big pharmaceuticals, big banking, every big you can think of. And as a result, we only get the candidates that big business and the two parties decide to favor us with. So where's the democracy? The sad fact is, it seems that democracy has lost its way. And as long as we remain a two-party system, we will forever be denied a taste of that delicious RC Cola because Coke and Pepsi have cornered the market.
No more soda pop.
Yes. Let's let the Democratic National Committee make whatever rules it fancies. Never mind that delegates like Mitchie can ignore election results. Who cares that states like Florida and Michigan are discounted? Big deal that in Iowa the Democrats don't get to cast secret ballots, or that in Nevada the caucuses were on a Saturday, which meant observant Jews couldn't vote. Hey, it's kind of fun. This year, the Democratic nominee might be decided by super-duper delegates, political insiders who don't have to listen to the voters at all. Insiders who, according to DNC rules, are allowed to and do accept money from the candidates. Insiders who, in fact, have accepted over $1 million from the Clinton and Obama campaigns.
Do we have to sit here and listen to this wonkish analysis?
There are dire consequences here, Mr. Dupre. Presidents get to start wars, and kids, the innocent kind, die in them. Lots of kids. There are consequences. And as long as presidents get to start wars and pick Supreme Court justices, as long as they represent the American people to the world, a world which increasingly loathes us because of our presidents, we the people should get to weigh in. Look at the choices this grand two-party system has produced this year. A grumpy old man who wants to stay at war for 100 years versus whomever the Democrats pick. A choice which may very well come down to Mitchie.
Snidey butt.
I'm going to sit my snidey butt down now after one final thought. Maybe it's time for us to take a little break from Iraq and start spreading a little more democracy at home.